Hi Libra, welcome to your May 2023 Astrotarot with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. So these readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign, though if you're only going to watch one, I do advise that you watch your ascendant sign. It's likely to be the most accurate because I'm incorporating a lot more of the astrology with this. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. Whew, all right, it's not even Capricorn yet. All right, so we're going to pop these to the side, because those will be for the weeks of the month and your moons, your lunations, and we're going to start here. So the first transit that I want to look at is the ingress of Venus moving into the sign of Libra. Now this is a big deal for you because you are Venus ruled. Venus as your ruler coming into your 10th house of career, social status, public status, right? It's the most public facing part of you. So whenever we're talking about the 10th house, just to give you an example, I always use this one. Radiant reality is me fulfilling my 10th house. It's the legacy that you have in the world. It's also the most public part of you because it represents your status as well. This can also represent whether you're single, married, business owner, employee, all of the things basically. So this is potentially helping you to shine, to hog the limelight in some way, shape or form, right? Venus, your ruler, she's one of the brightest stars in the sky. She loves to shimmer and twinkle and look good. And therefore, when she comes into your 10th house, she can really be beautifying your public persona. How people see you is the 10th house as well. And she's really helping you, not even necessarily get ahead, but she's definitely making you more magnetic, more attractive to other people, to onlookers. So this could be really good for you, especially because she rules your first house and your 8th house. Sorry, I really had to think that one out, obviously. All right, so this is a great thing because it's bringing more recognition for you in terms of what you do, potentially enhancing your earning potential here as well. It might also bring you more ease when it comes to contract negotiations, especially things that center around career. And the reason being is because Venus rules diplomacy. So if you've got anything of a contractual nature happening with work, with your public status and or your legacy, this could be fantastic. It also softens you somehow. So if you've had any issues with things to do with your character, maybe attacks on the character, etc., especially because you've had Mars in that 10th house as well, right? So if you've had anything that's kind of come in that's been a bit intense around how people see you, about how people treat you, Venus coming into this sign of Cancer and into your 10th house is really going to start to soften that, right? It's going to offer maybe not protection like Jupiter would, but definitely going to soften the edges of whatever those barbed things are that may have been coming out or coming at you, and will also help you gain some kind of vindication. All right, so this could be great. Now for this, you have the Queen of Pentacles. So a Taurus, Capricorn or Virgo woman may feature for you or assist you in some way, shape or form. And you probably see this, I burnt myself on the oven. That was some time ago at this point. Then you've got the Star card, right? Beautiful. So really helping you shine, but also with that that Queen of Pentacles, there's an element here of you being able to grow something. So grow your public status, to grow your to expand your reach in some way. And then you've got the Seven of Swords, right? So the Seven of Swords, lies, deceit, etc. The Star card, aside from all of its other meanings, it represents trust and it also represents truth. This, I personally feel like some truth may come out at this time that actually either vindicates you or gets people to see like, wow, I was sold a lie. Like, as an example, I mean, I don't do this kind of thing anymore. I'm not the sort of person, this is teenage sort of stuff, when you're at school and it's like, well, I'm not talking to so-and-so because my friend doesn't talk to so-and-so. I don't have time for all of that, like that's school ground sort of stuff. However, where maybe somebody has bought into a whole bunch of crap or lies that somebody else has spoken about you, the truth could be revealed at this time, right? Especially as Venus comes through that 10th house, and then people see you as you actually are versus the story that somebody has told about you. So I actually really like this for some kind of trust or some kind of truth being revealed around you. And then also you've got the Queen of Pentacles coupled with the Star card. This is likely to be a younger woman that will either help and or support you in some regard, or is just a really good friend that maybe delivers you some news to say, hey, listen, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but this is what's being said about you in certain corridors, etc. So it could be a really interesting experience for you guys. Now, for the next transit that I want to look at on the 11th of May, the moon, our illustrious Lunar, is coming into a conjunction with Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and those those energies are going to oppose Mars, right? Now, it's not a true opposition because Mars is still in Cancer at this time, but it is an opposition by aspect / orb, right? So it's going to be making enough noise for it to be noticeable. And this for you, that conjunction of the moon and Pluto is happening in the sign of Aquarius, which is your 5th house, right? It's happening in a fellow air sign. So even though there's a lot of intensity at the time, Moon Pluto, intense feelings, right? And even though there's a lot of that kind of going on, and this wouldn't actually be such a big deal if it wasn't in an opposition to Mars, right? If Moon conjunct Pluto happens once a month. This one, however, slightly more intense because of that opposition. But because it's in a fellow fire sign of Aquarius, it's at least offering you some kind of harmonious energy flow. So as such, in your 5th house, if you're single, this could be a really deep, really intense emotional connection that comes up. Very, very possible. If you've got children, maybe this is a situation that arises with them that potentially goes public. It doesn't have to, but it may be, let's say one of your kids takes to social media to say, I was grounded unfairly. I mean, it could be something really trivial like that. It could be something else. Another way that this could also play out as well is maybe you have a really powerful or deep sort of romance that pops up with somebody, and maybe it's not appreciated, or maybe by a family member. If you have kids, then potentially them. Be careful of how you manage things here, especially when it comes to creative projects. And it might be, especially with creative projects, like if you don't have kids or anything like that, maybe something that you've already put out into the world, a website, a blog, something that you share, could have a bit of a challenge right now. And the challenge with this is it's going to be, if you think about your projects in your baby, and your projects in your services as your babies, they could be very loud at the moment trying to get your attention, all right? So in its opposition to Mars, it's potentially got something to do with the career. So for this, you have the 4 of Pentacles, right? So it looks like you're digging your heels in on something, and then you've got this with the Knight of Wands, okay? And then you've got this with the 2 of Swords. So yes, digging your heels in on something, but also this, even though it's intense, again, this could bring some kind of justice. It could also see you, maybe not seeking revenge, but definitely kind of in a space where it's like, well, given that, nobody believed me before when I was talking about A, B, and C, now I'm going to do what I please or what I damn well desire. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But this combination of cards, it does suggest that maybe you're digging your heels in on something, and you're doing this as an emotional reaction as opposed to a thought out response, which is something that you're known for. Usually you guys are very cool-minded, very cool-headed, but it looks like you're very reactive at this time. So obviously I always say, the transit window, the day before, the day of, and the day after. Those 3 energies are things that you need to pay attention. Those 3 days are where you really pay attention to that energy to see what it's unfolding as opposed in regards to this. Now, On the 16th of May, it's here in the evening here in the UK. It's like, I think it's like 6, 7 p.m. So you'll have to convert that for your time space. But Jupiter, the Lord of abundance and blessings and growth and happiness and levity and also opportunity. You know, excuse my language, but I call Jupiter like the opportunity whore. And the difference between Jupiter and Saturn is Saturn says, this is what you want. I will give you this, but you see that big gauntlet in front of you? I expect you to cross that in order to get your goodies. Whereas Jupiter will just give you opportunity after opportunity. And it's one of the reasons that a lot of people tend to waste them. Or a lot of people will say like, oh, you know, Jupiter transit promised this, but it only delivered this. And it's usually because most of the time people take on too much. This is happening for you in your 8th house. This is going to activate your spiritual powers and prowess, right? One of the ways that this could show up is some powerful healing of wounds, traumas, maybe some kind of psychological, I don't want to say damage, but if you've suffered some, maybe even PTSD or anything like that, Jupiter coming into this 8th house for you is going to be lovely because it's providing healing in and on and with some of the deepest parts of you and potentially some of the deepest wounds. This is like Venus in the 8th brings a balm, right? It cools down the situation, whereas Jupiter says, no, we can heal this, providing you're willing to tap into A, your integrity and do the work, and B, your spiritual energies, because Jupiter is an energy of belief, right? It's an energy of right? Literally. And so in that 8th house, energy work, energy healing, energy therapy, all of these things can be very, very powerful right now. It may also provide you with opportunities to grow sexually and, you know, address or adapt any hang-ups that you've had around sex, sensuality, the taboo, or potentially around spiritual matters, right? The 8th house is the occult, as I like to call them, the spiritual sciences. So this is your tarot, numerology, astrology, the I Ching, human design, all of these spiritual sciences as I understand them. The other thing with this as well, it can also bring and enhance your own innate healing abilities. This is either for you to heal yourself or to heal others. This next 12 months, because that's how long Jupiter is going to be in the sign of Taurus for, so it's not just this happens on the day and it's done. This is going to be 12 months where it's just going. So for that reason, if you are a Libra ascendant, especially to a lesser degree, but still relevant, the sun or the moon, I urge you to go and start learning Reiki, learn some kind of energetic or spiritual healing, because at this time you could pick it up like that, right? So it's time. With that, you have the 8 of Wands, so likely communications are going to ramp up around all of these things. With the 8 of Cups, so you've got 2 8s. 2 8s represents new knowledge. This is definitely the time for you to study some kind of either spiritual science or some kind of energy work. Now, because it is the 8 of Cups with the 8 of Wands, these are opposing energies, right? The 8 of Wands is fire. You've got the 8 of Cups, that's the 8 of water. So what you're looking at here is a way to find, you know, and water and fire produce steam, and the 8th house could be very steamy. So, you know, there's that element. Whoa, look at this, right? So the 8th house is also the other people's money, the other people's resources. So we're talking about an 8th house transit. You got the 8 of Wands, the 8 of Cups, and the 8 of Swords. 3 8s represents marriage. So if you are single, this could be that you connect with somebody, maybe through a very official kind of sense. Potentially this person is a teacher, a therapist, a healer of some sort. Maybe they come into your life or into your world as one thing and they end up staying as something completely different. Just really, really interesting that we're talking about an 8th house transit and you got 3 8s. Bang, bang, bang. Not only is that very lucky, so this could also be a time where you start to really understand how to pull more finances and resources in from or through other people. So the 8th house isn't just your partner's money, it's also the money that you make from clients, you know, or people that you work with or alongside. That 8 of Swords though, it's basically saying to you, you're having to do something really, what's the word? You gotta stick with a plan that has you in it for the long haul. right? That's the way that you get through it. And so you had the 2 8s, that was the new knowledge, but then you've got the 3 8s, this is marriage. So, you know, the other way that we can marry things is through contracts. And, you know, although that's the realm of the 7th, if it's a financial contract of any sort, it's going to be the 8th. And then on the 21st of May, Mars comes into the sign of Leo, which for you is the 11th house. Now, the interesting thing about this is Mars can bring its energy, action, excitation, anger, irritation, frustration. But coming into the social connections, because the 11th house is your social connections, friends, social media, you know, like your wider communities as well. This can make your interaction with social media really busy. If you've got some kind of campaign going on, Venus is going to be in Cancer in your 10th house. So Mars brings that busy energy to the 11th. This could be a great month for some kind of social media drive to get more clients, to really start opening what you do to the wider world in some regard. Now, it may also potentially cause issues with friends, irritations with people that we consider close to us, like friends, etc. And the reason being is because Mars is an irritant, right? It's also a severing energy. So be mindful of the words that you put out at the moment, especially on social media, because they can get out of hand really quickly. And a big part of that is because Mars isn't just sat at 0 degrees of Leo on this day, it's also opposing Pluto at the time, right? So that is potentially something comes up and it goes way side, you know, it's like this came up and shit went sideways. Have no idea what happened. It just escalated really quickly. So something to be mindful of. On the plus side, it's in a perfect sextile to the Sun, which is at 0 degrees on the 21st of May, which for you is a trine energy, right? So Gemini and Aquarius energies are always going to do good things for you because they're in a trine to your own sign. So the Sun here in Gemini in your 9th house is definitely bringing... there's an element of kind of protection here, although it's not Jupiter. The Sun bringing an illumination to that 9th house for you, because the 9th house is a Jupiterian ruled house. There's an element here of like whatever the drama is that unfolds, like if someone tries to talk smack about you or, you know, put you down or whatever, try not to react to it, because the chances are that it'll end up working out in your favor. It's kind of like, you know, with celebrities, when something gets out that they absolutely didn't want to share, but then their publicist says, hey, listen, there's no, like, you can't buy publicity like this, so take it and, you know, run with it. This could be one of those kinds of things, and it might have something to do with money and friendship, or potentially with money and partnerships. For this, you have the 7 of Pentacles, you've got the Queen of Wands, okay, and you've got the 6 of Wands. So if you can bite your tongue and bide your time, but hold your boundaries, right, and just sit with it, you will come out victorious. Now, the Queen of Wands is usually a fire sign woman, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This person could actually help you put a positive spin on something that's been quite challenging, or where someone is challenging you and you don't really know what to do about it. Okay, so that is your transits. Let's look at your weeks of the month. For the first week of May 2023, you have, pop those in there because that one seems to want out. You've got the Chariot card, right? So potentially there's travel here and or looking at a commute of some sort, but there's also victory and success showing up for you as well. In the second week of the month, you've got the Hierophant card. So I like this because the Hierophant with the Chariot card suggests that where something, especially when it's been tied to an official institution, a legal matter, or, you know, something to do with school, university, etc., all of that stuff. This could be where some, maybe not they're changing their mind, but they definitely make, like, because you've done things through the right channel, there's a potential here that you are forcing an adaptation, right? So maybe you're not coming out like, yes, I made them change every single one of their policies, but maybe they say, look, in your case, we can make an exception. So I like that for a lot. And then you've got the Empress. So the Empress is Venus, so she is your ruler. Coupled with the Hierophant card, that's somebody that takes a shine to you. Someone that's in a position of power, somebody that can help you get ahead. That's probably Jupiter working for you in the background there, because obviously Jupiter brings dignitaries and, higher ups, etc. The other thing with the Empress as well, whatever seeds you are planting, whatever is set into motion, you're doing it in fertile soil. So your ideas and your plans move like really well. And then you have the Justice card next to the Empress. This is your ruling planet's energy, and this is your sign, because the Justice card is ruled by Libra. There is a new contract on the horizon for a lot of you, or a new commitment that is coming in that absolutely makes your month. Potentially for some of you, maybe even makes your year. So I love that for you. And then finally, for your moons, sorry, I have to kind of squeeze these in these days, because otherwise people just kind of switch off if they're too long. So your jumping cards, of which there are 3. So I'm going to take the first 2 on top, and they are. So for your new moon in the sign of Taurus, you've got the Gate 40 and Solitude. So I really, that new moon for you is happening in the 8th house, right? So one of the things that I want you to be really clear on with this, I have no idea why it took me so long to work this out earlier, by the way. Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, really, Raph? You've got a new moon in the 8th house, right? A new moon in the 8th is definitely a new start when it comes to the way that you make money from or through other people. It's also potentially a new start when it comes to your sensual or sex life in some regard. Now, because you've got this Gate 40 and Solitude, you're being asked at this new moon to pay attention to what you want first before you go out and start trying to get it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, before you sort of commit to anything, figure out what you want. And in order to do that, sometimes you've got to sit in solitude. And then for your full moon, that's a full moon lunar eclipse, by the way, in the sign of Scorpio, in the 12th house for you. Not going to go into great detail for the moons in these, because obviously you'll get your new moon and full moon reports. But you've got the Gate 7 and Discipline. And this one, yes, it's about discipline, hard work, etc. And interestingly enough, the 12th house is spiritual maintenance. Aside from all of its other energies, the 6th house, 12th house axis is a maintenance axis, right? The 6th house is how you maintain your body. The 12th house is how you maintain your inner being, right? Your inner equilibrium. You got to get disciplined about that, right? So if that means that you've been slacking on your spiritual path or your spiritual work, this is a message, right? That full moon shining an eclipse energy into your 12th house. And it's a full moon lunar eclipse. So this is like the ending of the last karmic cycle for you, where a brand new one is about to start. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic month. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Hi Libra, so I had got actually one of the placements wrong when I was talking about your lunations. So these are the cards that you got. I'm keeping them exactly the same, but I want to talk about them again because one of them I got wrong, and I didn't want to put out wrong information, and I also didn't want to make sure that you got that you guys didn't get a May video, because May is going to be a pivotal month for all of us. Okay, so the Taurus new moon that's happening in your 8th house. You had the Gate 40 and Solitude, and the message behind this basically is, right, you've got quite a lot of stuff going on for you in that 8th house, obviously Jupiter coming into that space, and for that reason I really would like you to use this month, especially this Taurus new moon, to get really clear on what it is that you actually want for yourself. And one of the best ways to do that is through solitude, right, is in that sort of space of the hermit, if you like. So this new moon is really encouraging encouraging you to get to the depth or to the base of what you are thinking and feeling in terms of your desires, so that you can actually then go after them. And then for the Scorpio full moon lunar eclipse, which for you is happening in your second house of money, finances, and resources. This is a big deal, and it's also the last eclipse of its kind, right? Certainly for another 9-10 years at least, anyway. So we get a little break. What this basically is happening is in your money sector. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail with the lunations, because obviously you're going to get your new moon and full moon reports, which you're all enjoying at this point, and I thank you so much for all of that. Now, you've got the gate 7 and discipline, and the first thing that comes up here is you're really paying attention to the skill set that you have that is actually lucrative, that you can actually use at this moment in time, and potentially across disciplines. And then on top of that, because it is the gate 7, because it is the discipline card, the message behind this is, when it comes to your money, your finances, and your resources, this full moon lunar eclipse, which is an ending, a completion, a grand ending, completion, and culmination, is really showing you how to get the most out of the resources that you've got by being on top of how you actually utilize what is available to you, and maybe not dipping into what isn't. So you're cleaning up your finances with this eclipse, and it is the last one of its kind. So I think this might actually bring you some kind of blessing and or gift, or at least cement the way that you have moved forward or changed when it comes to your financial endeavors and experience. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic month. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.